much, colleagues, for joining me today. I've already introduced you, and I'm hoping that we'll have an exciting conversation. So we will just dive right into it. What are some of those lived experiences with the stigma? What are some of the things that happen that form barriers to access to information? So could you kindly unpack for me, what are some of these barriers that we find in communities, within schools, within the health setting, that actually form a challenge for people with disabilities to access services?
Thank you so much for the question. Do we have the whole day for that?
We can take our time.
We can take our time. Oh, okay. Because when it comes to challenges and stigma, this is quite an issue. For example, for us, persons of short stature, women and girls of short stature, you can't just walk into a health facility and even seek information, not even the services first. Just seeking information on SRHR, maybe you want to know about family planning and the likes. The first thing, you have been infantilized. So they see me and they're like, hi, who are you with? You know? So they've seen a child first. So they're like, why is this child seeking information on family planning, contraception? Like, what's your business with that? Did someone send you for condoms? You know, umetumwa baba, you know, like did that send you to get him these things? Like, do you even know what you're talking about? So that becomes the first thing. We are seen as children, you know. And then the other thing, society, for some reason, believes we are asexual. So when you go for the ladies that we have had of short stature who have become mothers, and we are grateful for that. Their experiences are horrifying because the first time they go to the hospitals and the medics are like, who did this to you? You know. So the first thing is it was a rape case, so they want to take it up as a rape case, and you're like, it's my partner. They even like, you know, if you're afraid and everything, you know, we will do this discreetly, get you justice and everything, you know. So you are there like, am I not woman enough? Am I not lovable? You know, can't I get into a sexual relationship? Don't I have these rights as every other woman? So for us, anytime we step into the community, maybe pregnant or even with a man, actually it has made men without disability are quite afraid of approaching us because the stories they've had is we are asexual, so what will he be doing with me? The other thing they have had is when they are seen with me, they will be told, unafanya nini na mtoto? Like, what are you doing with a child? You know, so they are afraid of all the stigma that is out there. When it comes to schools, we do not have training. Actually, as an advocate, I have been advocating in spaces both offline and online. Like, can we have disability as a subject in school? Because once we have that, the knowledge right from kindergarten, it will help us to integrate with the rest of society. Because most of the problem is society is like, we do not know. We don't know about you, we don't know about this condition, we don't know how are we going to start. So what if we have disability as a subject right from kindergarten? Let everyone grow up knowing, even if it's the basics of disability. Because it's even harder for those who acquire disability later in life. They knew nothing about it, they never interacted with us, and then it has happened. So for them to join the space, to accept themselves, to know what do I do with myself now that I am a person with disability, it's so hard. And we feel them because unfortunately for most of us, it's you are born with it. So you found your way, you just found a way to live with it throughout life. But if we have this knowledge right from kindergarten in schools, the stereotype, I believe, will be lessened, if not completely wiped away. Thank you.
Thank you you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. And as you were speaking, I was just getting so caught up in the conversation around the mental health implications of all of that. Like when people view you as asexual, when people treat you as a child, but you also have sexual desire, you also want to be in a healthy relationship. So it comes from a perspective where we might be talking about bodily functions, but it's also emotional well-being and mental well-being, which is a lot to do with SRHR.
To say there's a lot of work that needs to go into demystifying disability so that we can start to have families understand disability and also have an appreciation that a person with disability has autonomy and they should be able to move in the world as able-bodied persons, and they should also be able to have access to information to protect and make choices for themselves when it comes to their sexual and reproductive health rights. So I think for us here, as we're in this space, our work would be towards creating interventions that demystify disability within the community so that we can enable that space for persons with disability to actually exist as able-bodied, as able autonomous adults or children within this space. So just another question for you colleagues, and anyone can take this up. I would just like to get a sense of understanding from you. What are some of the gaps that you think exist in policy formulation and policy implementation when it comes to the rights of persons with disability, especially around accessing information and services that pertain to sexual and reproductive health and rights?
Again, thank you so much for that. That has had me smiling because from day one it has been mentioned here that Kenya, yay, we are so great with laws and policies. And we even have countries coming to benchmark from us here. But the reality on the ground is that implementation is like a nightmare here. So just to start for us, persons with disabilities, even when policies are put in place, like right now we have the new Disability Act of 2025, which we are super, super grateful for. But then again, when it comes to implementation, you will find we do not have dedicated budgets for anything to do with disability. So when it comes to implementation, the first thing we'll be told is, we don't have a budget. We don't have a budget. But meetings are going to be held in the poshest of places, and we will be called just to be told we don't have a budget for us. So you're like, okay, so why do you even come up with all these very nice, very powerful policies? When it comes to SRHR, even minus us persons with disabilities, the budgeting that is there, it's barely like dedicated to SRHR services. So if it's that way for the rest of society, that means we get the worst of it all. Yet we are the ones who get to suffer the most, especially when it comes to things like abuse, the stigma and everything. Persons with women and girls and even our men with disabilities are the worst affected, but there's never a dedicated budget for us. Or even within even the Disability Act, like getting the portions that are really that are being patented for like SRHR services for persons with disabilities. It's not always easy, and when we find them, now we have to fight against around getting the laws that are going to work with these policies that have come about. So yeah, our policies are perfect. Please go back to your countries and tell them our policies are perfect, and if you want to take that up, congratulations, but focus more on the implementation, because even for us, that is what we are still, the journey has now begun on the fight for implementation, and we are just praying it won't be another 22 years to get that again. Yes.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. I saw Jemima got really excited when I asked this question. I just wanted to point that out. laws can be nice, but what are we doing in the actual implementation? What is the practice? And to point that out and to emphasize your point to say we need to have dedicated budgets that ensure that the rights are actually at the point of contact accessible. Jemima, I saw you got excited. Please go ahead.
Yes, I was excited with her sentiments, and I agree with her that yes, if I can inform you something, that our government, Kenyan government, I'm very proud that our Kenyan government, while yes, they are trying their best, we can say full accessibility is not achieved fully. So on special interest groups, this is where now not everyone is taken care of, especially women and young persons with disability. So if it is to help us young persons with disability, specifically, we have to advocate issues and advocate hard. So I do agree with her that there is no budget, especially for us women and young persons with disability. We are usually grouped together with other special interest groups, and that's why we miss a lot as persons with disability. If we can compartmentalize or segregate and then budget, it becomes easier for young women, for men, and then young women with disabilities. If it is that specific, then the budget can be able to focus more on the areas where there is need. Generally, the government groups us with women and young people. That's it. And therefore, you find the budget is not enough for us as persons with disability. There's nothing that is sufficient for health. So we have Youth Day, Women Day, and any other day that is there where the budget is allocated, but there's nothing for us as women with disability. So the policies, yes, I do agree with my sister here, they are very nice. The policy is good. We have also the recently enacted policy by the President in the month of May. Yes, it does mention persons with disability to be there, which we are happy, at least we are here because of that. But implementation, that's where we want to ask the government to try as much as possible to make it work. Yes, the policy is there, but focusing on health, accessibility to information and SRH, few, if none, works. For example, on issues like abortions, we don't know about it. So yes, it is there in law that it is against the law, but many people do not know what it is about and why it is there. There is also stigma that is related to abortion, yet we do know that there are some conditions that may force, just to save the woman, be in need of life-saving support. So if the policies are there, the laws are there, where we are also informed and implemented, it becomes easier. Many times we just hear about things. Yes, the policies are repeat, they are there, discussed, put in law, yes, signed, yes, but implementation, I'll say that's where we are stuck. So it's always a process, but the laws are good. On the ground, things are different. So that's the biggest challenge that we have for now. So if they can be able to separate issues, we are hoping that at least in the next 5 years or 3 years, when we are sitting back or reviewing, we'll be able to see things independently, and at least women with persons with disability are supported.
No, thank you for that, Jemima. And I really got touched by the sentiments there, because when we collapse budget and we do not actually think through what it means for a young woman who's visually impaired to walk into a clinic and find no means of communication, then they're not able to access services. And for that to be possible, for them to actually access services, it has financial implications. So to think on that, to say how do we segregate this budget to ensure that the services that are there are actually accessible, because it's one thing to have a health facility, but quite another thing to have it be accessible. So thank you very much for those sentiments. Mary Claire, your hand was up.
Okay, I had mentioned with disabilities, please have specific budgets for us for those programs, and because I think it now should be an old tale that all the time we hear there wasn't a budget for this, and yet there were budgets for everything else. The other thing I will say is, please stop talking about us. Talk to us, okay? Stop planning for us. Plan with us. If we are not in those seats, if we are not in those tables, if we are not in those committees, if we are not in the policy making processes, please don't say they are for us. All right? Because the outcomes do not favor us. That's why we lose a lot of women with short stature due to maternal mortality. Because the doctors are going to tell us, yes, I'm very good, I know this is my job, I know how to help a woman get their bundle of joy, but when it comes to a short stature, I wasn't taught about that. So if we were there when these policies were being made, we would have advocated for that, you know. Can we have doctors who are trained to deal or handle, but to deal with persons of short stature or any other disability, because we are tired of these numbers. We are fundraising every other year, like we've lost this one because of mishandling, because the doctor finally came out and said, I honestly don't know how to be a midwife for a lady of short stature, you know, or we give birth to children who come out with other complications, because like a friend, she was being sent away from the hospital when the child is almost coming out. They've kept her for 3 days in that hospital, and then when the doctor comes, she's like, I can't handle this one, I'm sorry, please take her to another hospital. It's at night, so moving from one place to another to get a hospital that they will say, okay, let's work on her, let's help her out. We are tired of losing our girls, our women to these issues. So if you are talking without us in that table, you are talking about us. You are not talking to us. You are not talking with us, and it's not helping us. So include us in these conversations. Let us tell you where the shoe pinches. Thank you.
Kasika na Richie Beats, yeah. Hundo ule mwaka, this is that year. Hakuna limitations, mwaka wa kuvuka boda, year of breaking boundaries, mwaka wa kuspread popote kokote vyovyote na Yesu. This is that year. This is that year.